Sean Middleton, SAFC Fans TV. I'm outside the Steamer Light, where yesterday was breaking news that Jack Ross has been dismissed as the manager of Sunderland Football Club. I'm going to do my quick view on Jack Ross. Basically, I believe that it's the right decision. I think it was a long time in coming. If I was the owners, I would have dismissed Jack Ross at the end of the last season. I could see the warning signs last Christmas when we weren't playing very well. He just seemed to run out of ideas, and it just seemed to go on from there. He couldn't keep a strong starting 11. He chopped and changed his team continuously. I don't think he brought the right calibre of players in, whether that was his fault or Stuart Donald. I'm not too sure.
I appreciate a lot of what Jack Ross did. I do think that he brought stability on the pitch at a time when we needed it. Because when he first came in, we barely had a starting 11. And we needed someone to patch things together and basically assemble a squad. We needed someone who was going to come in, do a job, and so on. Whereas now, it was apparent that last season he stabilised us on the pitch. He stabilised and made sure that we actually had a team together. And again, given because we had to overturn a culture, we had loads of players that didn't want to be there. We had a lot of turmoil. When the new group came in, when everybody came in, there was a lot that had to be overturned. There was a lot that had to be changed. So I do appreciate Jack Ross for that. I do think that Jack Ross has given me a couple of great memories. He gave me Rochdale away last season, which for me is my favourite away day that I've been on, just for the day out, if bizarrely enough something as stupid as the weather, the atmosphere, the last minute winner, that was fantastic. I'm never going to forget that. Obviously, he gave me 2 trips to Wembley, even though we ended up losing. Sorry, I've got a cold, by the way, hence why I sound like a zombie. We got to Wembley twice. He gave me that, especially the Checker Trade final against Portsmouth. Even though I was gutted, I was a little bit upset we lost the game, but I wasn't overly bothered. And I like the fact that Ross gave me that. That was a great day out. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, the playoff final did not go according to plan at all.
It's fair to say that the news came as a bit of a shock when it broke on Tuesday afternoon, but looking at it on a deeper level, it really doesn't surprise you why Stuart Donald has decided to sack Jack Ross, considering the very average start we've had to the season. Going into more detail on this, 19 league draws we picked up last season, which for a side challenging promotion is simply not good enough. 27 draws in total he's picked up in his whole tenure managing Sunderland, which just shows with the quality, with the squad we're meant to have, something's clearly not right. And you look how many of those draws have been from winning positions where we've dropped points in latter stages of games as well.
Obviously, the Checker Trade final, we played great in the first half and then abysmal in the second half, and that just summed Jack Ross up, really, that game. Great one half, terrible the other. But, going to the back end of last season, we had a few chances where we could have capitalised and finished in the top 2. We didn't. We kept on blowing our chances, even when we had the games in hand. We just kept on throwing games away. And in the end, we were in the playoffs. We obviously beat Portsmouth in the semi-final of the playoffs, which we're doing okay. Then we got the final, and we all know what happened in the final. The Charlton game was probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen. We get a lucky goal in the first half, and you think, this could be our day. But no, what does Jack Ross do? He puts 11 men behind the ball, tries to defend the lead, and then Charlton got the equaliser. And in the second half, you could just see what was coming. It was heartbreaking what happened. But, I was angry. But I think that was a great time for the owner to have a look at it and say, it's been a failure. Make a change now, get a new man in, give his ideas, get his squad ready for the new season. But Stuart Donald stuck with him. He'll bear the brunt of this.
I get tired of a lot of people bringing up Josh Madger, because Josh Madger was happy to lie to the club and the fan base and everyone that he was working with to suggest he wanted to stay. And however late it was, he got offered the money that he wanted but chose not to take it. That's on Madger, not on the club. But nevertheless, since then, that was the turning point where things really started to go wrong. And even then, when you bring Will Grigg in, someone who is regularly proven in this league, someone who should be able to put away loads and loads of chances, Ross couldn't find a way to get the best out of him. And as a result, a lot of the play that we had was a bit more cautious. I wouldn't say negative. I don't think we're sitting back and trying to go for draws all the time. But we didn't look like we had that potency going forward that we did earlier on in Ross's reign. You think back to that 4-2 win against Barnsley last season, where we basically won the game because we attacked them. We didn't exactly look good defensively. But, we obviously scored 4 goals. I mean, that was a breathtaking opening half hour in that game, actually. He's given some great memories. You look at the Charlton win. You look at when we had that 5-game winning run. After we beat Plymouth, we were top. We were the second in the league. We had a chance to go top. Although that is an ultimate embarrassment on Ross's part. That we didn't really look like we were going to get into. We've never been top of League One, really, since he came in. I know we did when we beat Charlton in the first game. But obviously, that was an early kick-off and a lot of other teams hadn't played at that point. So, that kind of, in a way, doesn't count. But in terms of generally when it's been on a even playing field in terms of games played, we've never been top of League One.
Too many negative tactics. I mean, the playoff final against Charlton last season was one of them where we set up with such a defence-minded side and invited pressure on in the latter stages of the game where Charlton ended up nicking an injury time winner. For me, he hasn't really been able to get across his managerial style to the players well enough, really, especially from the start of this season. I mean, it looks like we've gone backwards as a team defensively as well. I mean, we're still looking for our first clean sheet in the league this season.
Going into this season, I mean, as a supporter, me and Dano said as well, you've got to give him a chance, see if he can rectify his mistakes, what he'd done from last season. The first game against Oxford was like, and that's only one game, but it was a draw 1-1, and that was absolutely really poor. And then the Ipswich game, the game after that was just absolutely atrocious. So the warning signs again this season was, performance-wise was terrible. Do we bring the right players in? I thought we did bring the right players in, but I'll keep on saying this: Jack Ross was just not the man for our club. He proved that last season. He's done it again this season. Yes, he's a nice bloke, and I don't like to see anybody lose their job, but on a whole, he's not employed to be a nice guy. He's there employed to get the best out of them players, to play the best tactics and win football matches. Has he failed? Unanimously, yes, he has failed.
And I think the biggest reason that fans started to turn on Ross, particularly this season, when this season he needed a good start, he needed an exceptionally good start to actually win the fans back on side. And even then, when you look at it, I was on the fence myself with Jack Ross. I was in with Jack Ross. The end of last season, I said, look what he's had to contend with. Let's see what he's had. Let's see what he's had with a much more stable summer, much more stable transfer window, and we'll see what happens from there. And I think that this season there was a lot of parallels between this season and the end of last season, where we were playing conservatively. We just were not doing anything whatsoever. And even in the games where we won, we weren't exactly overly convincing. Even though I do believe that when we went on that 5-game winning streak, only Rochdale we were lucky to win, I thought. But nevertheless, when you consider that the rightful expectations on Sunderland this season was to go up one way or another, whatever it took. I mean, obviously the expectation was there last year, but there was a lot more leniency within the club. There was a lot more leniency among fan bases because of what had to be overturned and what had to be done. Even though I myself said I expected promotion last season, rightly so I thought, I was a bit more lenient with the club. What Jack Ross had to put up with in the summer was the main thing that kept me Jack Ross in. Oxford 1-1 at the start of the season turned me onto the fence, and then Bolton turned me to Jack Ross out just because I just couldn't see it going anywhere. And then you look at what happened against Lincoln at the weekend. Apparently the atmosphere wasn't particularly good, so thankfully I didn't waste my money on the poor souls that went down there. Look, as rubbish as the Lincoln result was, and as rubbish as the performance was, maybe in some respects it's a blessing in disguise that it happened because it got rid of Jack Ross.
With his substitutions as well in certain games, it just doesn't look like he was prepared to take risks in games where we could, if he threw on a few attacking subs, potentially have got 3 points rather than 1. He had restrictions on his budget, I know, but you look at it more wisely. When we got in Will Grigg in January to replace Josh Madger, Will Grigg, it was only 4 goals in 17 appearances before we signed him, and also it felt like we dragged him out of one treatment room and put him in another.
And now it is time for us to find his successor. Who that may be, I'm not sure who it could be. I mean, Daniel Standel from Barnsley's left his job. You've got Gary Ainsworth, you've got Ian Holloway, Kevin Phillips is being linked. I need to send a message to the Sunderland fans that Big Sam, I know that everyone's to see Big Sam come, but that ain't going to happen. He's already denied that yesterday on TalkSport. He says just the position we're in at the moment, it doesn't really entertain him. So now it's a case of, well, who do we get? I don't know. That's going to be a tricky one, and it's down to Stuart Donald now to get that right. And this is the biggest decision he's going to have to make as the owner of this football club, is getting the right man to take this club forward, because it's been proven. I've been saying to my friends all along that Jack Ross isn't the right man, and it's been right. I don't want to be right, you try and support your club, try and support your team, but the football has been terrible. He's made loads of mistakes, he hasn't corrected them, and he had to go, so I'm happy about that. Next manager, I'd probably say, Ian Holloway's got experience in this league, he's getting promotion. Is he the right man? I'm not sure. Kevin Phillips will get the fans on the side straight away. He's a massive fan favourite. Kevin Ball's name hasn't been mentioned, but maybe bring him in. He would give them the players the kick of the backside they need, and I think that's what they need right now. They need somebody to come in to get respect and to get us up that league.
Depending on who we get now, it is going to be a massive turning point in our season, hopefully in a positive way. I've said Gareth Ainsworth from Wickham would make us nastier to play against, even though we've got a different set of players to what Wickham have got. Daniel Stendhal, I think, again, when I watched Barnsley last year, they weren't overly physical, they weren't overly aggressive, but they had some good technical players and he got the best out of them, even though you could argue it was Sunderland and Pompey cocking it up, really, that they got promoted. You look at maybe, like, I don't know, Mick Harford, who got Luton up last year. For me, I still want to whoever we get, for me, should get to the end of the season, because players might want to play a bit more. This is what I'm going to say, might sound a bit far-fetched here, but players should want to play regardless. But nevertheless, there might be players who want to win over the fans, get the manager the permanent job full-time, and might give that extra little 5% in games, and that could be the crucial difference between us getting up and staying in League One again. And whoever we get in has got to get Will Grigg firing. If you can get with Grigg and McNulty and get them together, get them firing, that is a huge, huge opportunity there. We'll have to wait and see. So for me, whoever we get should get to the end of the season and then think about long-term longevity when we get to the Championship, if we get there.
In terms of the next step, obviously the names being linked: Chris Hughton, Gareth Ainsworth, Mick Hartford and Daniel Stendhal as well, who's recently been sacked by Barnsley. For me though, a short-term appointment till the end of the season might not be a bad idea. I think what we do need is someone that can really galvanise the dressing room, as it will definitely be really low on confidence with that 2-0 defeat to Lincoln at the weekend. Someone like a Kevin Phillips, who knows what it means to play for the club inside out. Someone who's been in the dressing room before, Roy Keane, who's been linked. Could he potentially come back? If he does, though, the situation will be very different, considering he's not got Niall Quinn upstairs anymore. If I had to pick someone to take the job now, I go for a manager like Mick Hartford, who done a brilliant job when he came in to galvanise that Luton dressing room last season, and that ended up them going up as champions in the end. And also, he's from Sunderland and an ex-player as well, so he's someone that could really connect with the fans.
Final thing, I respect Jack Ross. I'm thankful for some of the memories he gave me, and hopefully you go on to have a successful career in management, because I think you will.
That's my opinion. Hopefully Stuart Donald can get the right man. And could you please like, share and subscribe and comment to our channel? That would be much appreciated. And could you also subscribe, because it's free. Remember, it's free. Thanks for your time. SAFC Fan TV.